Thoughtless, casual gaming. Thoughtless, casual gaming. Thoughtless, casual gaming. Thoughtless, casual gaming.
Hello, you're listening to Thoughtless Casual Gaming with Brett and Jace. We're a Geelong-based gaming podcast where we put on paint events and then get 2 episodes of content out of them. Because
that is just efficient. I like it. I'm so on board with this level of just, it's just smart business decisions. That's what this podcast is about.
It's milking it. That's what it is. But at the same time, nobody wants to listen to a 4-hour podcast about anything. And we want to gush about our entries because we're very proud of our submissions for this paint event.
Yes, but also we are both enthusiastic about them and full of moisture. And those things need to collide in a veritable fountain.
Moist. Yes. So, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you've listened to the first episode where we talked about the first half of the entries. May as well get right back into it. We went through the Facebook entry and half of the Discord entries last episode, so let's keep going with Discord. And first up is Patrick. Now, Patrick won our last paint event with the most disgusting looking thing I've ever seen.
I'm still not sure what it is, but it was pretty.
Oh, it was so pretty and disgusting and gorgeous at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Patrick has done a troll.
Mm-hmm.
This haiku tells the story of Red, the troll, abandoned in Mordheim and discovered by a warband of Black Orcs. Lost in shattered streets, small troll weeps, found by cruel hands, comfort in killing.
I mean, that just feels like something we can all relate to.
Doesn't it? Comfort in killing? Yes. And he has done a troll. And as he said, Red the troll is red.
Exceptionally red. He's very red.
I love seeing a troll in colours other than green.
Just not default troll colours, yes. No, I'm 100% on board. Any kind of creativity, I feel like orc goblin style, like green skin flesh, everybody does green. And it's just, there's not even the level of versatility that you start seeing with the amount of Caucasian skin that we see in players. But I feel like orcs almost have worse racial profiling.
Yes. I think so, Joe. I'd love to see like an orc Blood Bowl team with green armor and some other colour flesh. Yellow.
I'm on board. Literally anything.
Yes. Anyway, getting back to Patrick. So, Red the Troll has big stick with purple things on the end.
Well, like mushroomy, fungusy growth critters. Yes.
And he's wearing pretty much a wolf on his head, which has... Oh, no, there's a goblin attached to that.
Yeah, there's a goblin sticking out the back.
Oh, it's a basket.
Yeah, he's got a little basket on his back with the goblin climbing in, but the wolf over his head.
Mm-hmm.
Another little goblin poking out the bottom of the basket, or hanging on. It looks like he's tied on by the ankles. Some kind of funky purple finger out the back of the...
Yeah, it's got everything, doesn't it, this model?
There's a lot going on.
I love how the sort of the purple fungus on the troll itself matches the club. But
Yeah.
Above all, I love his texturing.
And there is so much in this. I got to see it in the flesh.
The red flesh.
Yeah, last week. And the pictures he's put in Discord don't even really do it justice, because he has spent so much time making sure that all of the different surfaces of all the different materials all have a different texture.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, like, the troll skin itself is actually pretty smooth, except for where it's not, because there's little bits of lichen and stuff growing on it, but it's actually pretty. And it's this clever bit where, like, the face is more weathered than the rest of the body, which I really dig. Then you've got, like, the wolf he's wearing, and there is fur in there. He's painted on. It's not just, hey, I've done a wash and some stuff. Like, there's actual lines of fur in that.
Mm-hmm.
There's the baskets clearly made out of some kind of woven wicker thing, where, again, all of that has got, like, a texture that he's painted through it. He's free-handed on. The cloth over the top of the basket has got a different kind of texture, and he's really done it where there's folds and stuff as well. So it's an exercise.
It looks incredible. This, I can count at least 4 or 5 different colours on this wolf alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
that texture on that black cloak shawl thing.
Mm-hmm. And I really like, that point around the wolf's got a whole bunch. It's a grey wolf. Like, you look at it and you go, yeah, grey wolf. But there's browns, there's greys, there's a lot of different shades and colours and stuff through that. It's not just hey, I picked up this pot of grey as well. And I really enjoy just the level of interest that creates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is incredible.
I also, and it probably doesn't read with the pictures he's posted, but I suspect he is a fan of the scale 75 scale color range, or a big fan of matte varnish, because it's such a matte finish on everything. Like, you look at the model, there's no shine, there's no gloss, and it helps in the photo because there's no reflections or weird kind of bounce lights or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it photographs really nicely. But yeah, it's like this. Actually, it's a really nice kind of. It's such a pleasant finish. This really kind of matte. It's lovely.
It really is. There's so many very, very thin lines on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do that. I've been trying to do that. I actually tried to do a little bit of, very light lines this evening. And, this level is just
so good.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the difference, he's got lines on it for, like, the wood and the fur textures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to that kind of purple fungusy thing it's all kind of almost stippled, and again, it's uneven. It's not it's not just a flat color. It's got some variation and texture through it, but it's a different texture, which I really dig. There's a lot going on.
Like, he is definitely pulled out for this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
Dude can paint.
Moving on. Next up, we have Sedge.
Well,
Do
this
you
is
want to read
long.
through this one?
This is very long.
Oh my God, yes.
We're not reading the whole thing. It's available in the Discord for you to read at your own leisure. However, a really quick taster for it. The Warp Master's demand. So Sedge has done a bunch of Doom wheels. So little 10, 15 mil scale Skaven Doom wheels. There may have been a Skaven / Doom wheel themed tournament that was recently held at a similar scale. And these may have been part of these, and there might be one sitting up on my cupboard. So the door, warp master's demand. The dimly lit workshop reeked of burning warpstone and scorched metal. Sparks flared as a massive cog spun wildly on a rusted chain, rattling with barely contained energy. Warplock engineer Jace hunched over his latest creation, a crude mock-up of a doom wheel, its frame still missing vital components. His whiskers twitched as he muttered calculations under his breath, his mind racing faster than his clawed fingers could sketch out new designs. Then the door slammed open. Jace yelped, nearly toppling into a vat of glowing green coolant. A towering figure draped in grey robes strode in, his horns curling upward like a jagged scythe. His presence alone sent the lesser Skaven in the workshop scattering like frightened rats. Gracie Breslick sniffed the air, his long tail lashing in agitation. "Where is my fleet not built forged, Jace," he hissed, his red eyes gleaming with menace. "The Warp Master demands, yes. Doom wheels, many doom wheels. You have failed, displeased." It continues, but you get the bridge.
That's maybe half of the story, if
maybe
less.
Yeah.
All right. Doom wheels. So good.
There is
Bonus points for Skaven.
There's 6 of these bastard things he's got here in the first picture. And the second picture, there are 6 of them. So, a little bit of a side story from there. There were custom rules for the Warp Master event that said you ran not that long ago, where if certain things happened on the table, a random doom wheel appeared and charged your units. He then proceeded to provide everybody there with a doom wheel for said shenanigans.
First of all, that's so cool.
It was really fun.
Did you get one of these painted ones? I see there's like 14 or something unpainted at the end. You got one of the painted ones?
Yeah, so there were enough painted ones, so everyone who showed up walked away with a little painted doom wheel, which was fun.
What colour did you get? Because they're all different colours.
They are all different, and there were more than them. So that's a great question, and I would get up, but I don't want to.
Yeah, fair call.
But they all have different little. So they're very, very similar in regards to the little, the brown wood and the metal and stuff. But then all the little warpstone crystals are different colors for all of them, and the little glowing runes on the sides of them are all matching warpstone colors, which is super fun.
You've painted this scale?
Mm.
Do you need like a magnifying glass to paint them?
It depends how careful you want to be.
The amount of detail on these things for something so small.
I feel like sculpting at this scale is an art, and it's to try and get detail, make it readable, and not make it stupidly fragile as well. Is this real kind of like balancing act that some places have got down to an art. And this again, I think, really, really good because, hitting these with paint, you could start with contrast on like most of the surfaces and then dry brush and then go back and do the metals and things. But there's stuff on the inside of the doom wheels and there ain't a lot of space to get a brush in.
No, it's the amount of detail you can put on these things. I'm just like the wood looks like wood. Each of the different coloured warpstones are edge highlighted, basically.
Yeah, they come out. And just the fact that he actually went back and did like on the side of them, the little runes are all glowing in a matching warpstone colour.
The only thing that could make this better in my eyes is if they were all screaming bells. Because I keep saying, Skaven is it's the way into Warp Master for me. So I'm never going to play them in fantasy. I've given up on 40k, so my Skaven army for 40k is mostly undercoated black. Some of them are painted, most of them are not. If I had little models of Skaven.
Now, I think these are, so yes, it's adorable. There is still, you do have to paint a lot of little rats for Skaven.
Yeah, true.
Still, but it's a lot easier at this scale. Sergi has really nutted out a knack for this scale painting, though. This idea of high contrast, of techniques that work, of finding a way to, and he doesn't mess around. He gets some stuff done. So he's clearly worked out a way to get it done at relative speed without making him look like a dog's breakfast, which would be my struggle if I tried to rush it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just, again, I think it's just the perfect balance of chunky enough models that the detail is there, but not too flimsy and breakable, and you can actually hit it with a brush, and then just nailing techniques that pick it out, and leaning into, that idea of high contrast, particularly at a smaller scale.
Yeah.
So clever.
So good. Yes. If there was a screaming bell, I might be interested.
Can anyone say gateway drug?
It's absolutely. Yeah, awesome work, Sedge. All right, moving on. Next up, we have Eric. Now, Eric, once again, has done an essay. So, preface. After years of tunneling deeper into the rock and turning up nothing but dust and disappointment, Terry decided the treasure must be elsewhere, above ground rather than below. So he gathered a small band of his most trusted kinsmen to set out on a quest. He's joined by Grim, son of Grim, of the House of Grim, the Troll Slayer. G3, I do appreciate that, cares little for treasure, but was keen on the promised fighting. A pair of young dwarves barely past their first century, Fane the hungry and Dane the easily distracted. The pair had grown tired of bashing rocks and fancied bashing some heads instead, especially if it led to a few shiny rocks and a decent meal. And then we have a beautiful story, which I'm not going to read because we'll be here all night. So, Eric has done a warband of dwarves, 4 to be precise.
Yeah.
And they are...
You need Terry and then G3 and then Terry. Oh, I love it.
I love the names people come up with for things like Jace. These dwarves are like so crisp.
Mm-hmm.
They're old school looking models. Are they 3D printed, do you think?
They are.
Yep.
Yes. They are, but they were very much designed for that dwarf treasure hunter. Like, it's their equivalent models for the original dwarf Moyheim warband. They've got a very similar feel. It is so in fitting with the aesthetic of the game. It's such a good. And when he found them, I was like, yeah, these are literally perfect.
They are. And he's done them so clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just look, they
reckon
stand out.
I reckon he might be the king.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't got shit all over him. They are very clean.
I didn't vote for him. So we've got 4 guys. The Troll Slayer is the obvious one. Bright orange hair, beautiful tasseled beard. Not much on.
Whole lot of skin. He's shown a lot of flesh, and I always find skin hard work.
Yes. I haven't quite managed to get skin properly yet. Like my skin tends to have a few different, very obvious colours in it, and this is a lot more blended and a lot more. You can see the highlights for sure, but yeah, no, this is beautiful.
It's uniform. It is consistent. It is, there's no confusion. There is really clear highlight. There's really clear muscle definition and things like that. But it's not one of the things I find that I fall into the trap of, and I think a lot of people do, is overshading stuff as well.
Mhm.
So you kind of go from, African skin through to pale redhead skin. And he's managed to hit that where he's appropriately shaded without going ridiculously over the top and looking like, an early Street Fighter game.
Yeah, and the Troll Slayer is wearing white as well. And that white is very, very crisp.
Way to show off.
Yeah. The guy next to him, a nice little blunderbuss.
Mm.
I'm assuming that's Terry.
I'm
He's got a fancy
so.
hat.
He's got a,
Plus, he looks like Santa.
A little bit, and I didn't realise that until you said it, and now I can't unsee it, and I love this.
He's got a white beard. He's got a red...
He does, with the little white tassels on the ends, little white cuffs, some green and red in there. He is just delivering the gift of scattershot to everybody.
I love the gun too. The gun, all four of these models are very, very clean. They're bright without being overly bright, if that makes sense. They stand out. The colours all stand out. And the colours they're all different on each one, but they all work for that particular model.
And there's a definite, there's bits of uniformity there where I think he's got very similar skin recipes through. Makes sense. They all come from the same place. They're all on very similar bases. They're all standing in the same place. But they've got different clothes because they're different levels of nobility and maturity and all of that stuff. And again, that balance of, there's a lot of color when you look at it, right? There's red, there's blue, there's green, there's these brown, there's the yellows, but it's because he hasn't gone primary bright red and then primary bright green. And then it actually, it doesn't feel like it clashes at all. It's some really clever use of just slightly subtler colors that keep all of the visual punch and the colors are clearly there without just looking like Mardi Gras.
Yep, completely agree. Chainmail on the more armored guy looks exactly spot on. It looks like chainmail. It doesn't look like just silver armor. There's a fish on one of the shields. I love that.
As there should be. But it's like
I can't see the full thing, but I'm assuming it's a fish.
It's absolutely a fish. That's glorious.
Yes.
That is actually, I feel like that there is a whole opportunity here for a dwarf clan of fishermen that we haven't seen yet. My question here is really, which is Fane the Hungry and which is Dane the Easily Distracted?
I was just trying to work that out. Obviously, Fane is the one with the fish. Because he's always hungry and he's got food on his armour.
But a man with many fish would have less need for food than a man whose fish supplies are low.
They're all a bit pot-bellied because they're dwarves, but that guy with the fish, his belt is hanging rather low. That's got to be it, surely. Eric, you got to tell us which one's which.
Yeah, now we need to know.
This
is important.
Oh, so good. So good. All right. Moving on. Next up, we have Tricky.
Tricky, yes. The man did some work. The deep gnomes of the Forgotten Realms. But he did us a little poem. He authored himself a poem of the deep gnomes hunter. Darkness engulfs the heart of the under-rockened soil. With steel and wood they craft until they have the perfect coil. So he's gone for a rhyming option.
Mm-hmm.
Never once are they seen by those topside, for if they were, no one would believe in such a tale so wide. Can you hear them pass by upon their chariots of trash. It's frustrating to know that they move without a crash. I will find one day in the cavity of this world, for I am the hunter, and I will make this mystery unfurled. This is an extract from The Great Bounty Hunter, Z.L. McAnaphy.
I feel like there's a lost opportunity because topside and backside would work. Tricky is known for his dioramas.
He does enjoy.
And this is one hell of one.
I was in the store a couple of weeks ago and he showed me this and he was chatting about it and he's like, originally he kind of started with this idea. So we've got two little gnomes in a minecart.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of it. He's like, that was the idea. I had two little guys in a minecart. And then he found this round base from somewhere. And he's like, nah, that's my base now.
These
and
gnomes, I mean, I'm guessing they're, small, but they'd still be what,
They're 28 mils,
yeah.
like they're gnome size 28 mils.
So how big is this goddamn base?
Yeah, it's large. Because there's these two little
table.
gnomes in two little things, and then he's got this like pie plate base. He's like, I'm going to use that. So it escalated pretty quickly, and then he's like, right, well, I need to work out how to make me some underground and a mine, like a track for this thing to go on, and some walls and some stuff. And he has gone to town. He's hacked what I assume is foam for all of his walls and kind of, stalagmites and stalactites. And I keep forgetting which one's which.
Stalagmites are on the ground.
Because they might poke him in the butt.
No, because I've got a G in the word. G for ground. That's how you
I thought so Jack Black is my savior here. Stalactite, hold on tight. Because you don't want to fall down onto a stalagmite that might poke you in the butt.
Yep, no, that works too.
Either way, there's a lot of them. They're big. They are imposing. There is this huge amount of kind of, scattered terrain and almost kind of fallen columns and stuff going on. This place don't look too well maintained, is the moral of the story there. And then you have this little kind of mine cart, this little ramshackle. And I love he's gone super hard with all of this. And then he's gone, after he's painted everything, no, they're in the dark and they're holding a torch. We need to light this place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a brave decision to do, because he painted everything and then he's like, I need to add light to this now. And there's this no going back moment. Get your brush.
OSL just scares the crap out of me. I have not been able to do it right. I mean, admittedly, I haven't really tried it too much. But, there is a lot of light bouncing off various different parts of this. And in all the right places.
So you've really got this little guy at the front holding a little glow stick torch thing. Yeah, glow stick. Let's call it a gnome rave. That's what we're looking at here.
Yep. In the mines.
But that little dude is so lit up because he's holding the torch directly above his head. And so all of a sudden you've gone from, I've painted this dude, to, holy hell, I just need to go ham on this lighting effect. The guy behind him, really clever. He's hit the bits that are looking at the torch, right? So the front of his face, because he's behind the guy holding it, his back, nah, none of that. His back's all nice and dark, and none of this yellow light effect. And then in front of this minecart, bouncing off all kind of the bits of rock and column and stuff kicking around, you can actually see the path of light that he's trying to kind of make, and then just it bouncing around all over the place. It's
so good.
Yeah.
I love the minecart as well. little track that he's made for it. But the minecart is just, it's got these little shields on it. Got this big pipe thing at the back.
And I reckon he scratch built that whole thing just with bits and stuff that he had laying around. He's just gone, you know what? I'm going to make me a little cart for these guys to drive in. And he's just, it's that piece of creativity of it. So, all right, I want this. What have I got lying around, and how can I make it make sense?
Mm.
And again, that bravery and the creativity and the resourcefulness and all of those gnomish traits. If we were giving out awards for people most like their diorama in trait form.
I love what Tricky does with dioramas, and I can't wait to see more and more stuff from him. I know that eventually he's going to fill up the shop just with dioramas.
But I would say it is at the shop, so if anyone is swinging past Throw the Dice, it is probably hanging around somewhere in the window. Go have a look at this thing in the flesh. Jump into the Discord. Here is your moment to just stop what you're doing. Click on the link in the show notes, go to the Discord and have a look at this. And then compare what you've seen in his photography skills by going into Throw the Dice and having a look in person.
I doubt this episode will come out in time, but Saturday there's the buy, swap, sell at Throw the Dice.
Make him an offer.
Tricky. He continually impresses me with his scenery in particular. He doesn't skimp on the scenery.
He doesn't think small. He's He's go hard.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We have Snowman Dan. And Dan has written, okay, so rather than write out a whole bunch of fluff for this piece, I'm going to simply let the title and the paintwork tell the story.
That's cheating.
Yes. I give you till death do us part. And in typical Dan fashion, he's given us one photo of the model and then one photo of the model from all four sides, which is just fantastic. So we've got
super convenient, I will say.
Dan's photographic skills are next level. So we've got guy and a girl, obviously in some dark passage, because they're both holding lanterns in their left hands, but they're back to back, and both got a little knife in their hand. So again, this is an OSL type thing because
pretty hugely, and I really like the back to back on a single base as a concept. That's really, like, it's just a fun, like, it gives you a real sense of what's going on around them without anything going on around them. It also probably helps that his background for all his photography is like stupidly black, so it looks like they're in the middle of a really dark place, and these little lanterns are the only thing that's lighting the world up, but it works really well for the photography.
And the lighting in this is just next level. So both of them are holding their lanterns in their left hands, but they're holding them down, like they're at waist high or lower. So the bottom of the model is a lot brighter than the top. The backs of the models where they're back to back, you can tell it's been painted, and you can tell it's been painted in the same sort of colours, but it's a lot darker because, obviously they're the shadows from each other.
It's such a... Dan knows how to paint. We know this. We've seen his work before. I really love the fact that, like, I think what he's done here is he's kind of chosen his environment colour, which is this kind of dark blue, which is his nighttime colour, right? So what he seems to have done is mix that into all of the colors. So, you've got one of these pair who's got red hair, and then it gets progressively sort of darker and more desaturated, as what I think he's done is mixed in kind of that blue environmental color into it and continued.
It does look like there's bits of blue in the hair on the back of her.
And it just keeps everything consistent. Like all the shadowed sections are shadowed in the same way. It's not like it's just a darker red because I've used a brown wash on red thing. There's a reason for it to be that shadowed.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a clever way to paint. It's such a fun storytelling way to paint because you start telling the story of where they are by the color of the reflections around them and what that kind of stuff. And it plays so well with this yellow light that he's got because, again, I think he's used the yellow for his light color as the thing that he's using to highlight his skin and all the stuff that the light is highlighting.
Mm-hmm. Dan is very active in our Discord. In the hobby progress chat, he is constantly posting pics of stuff that he's done for various different board games or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He is so good. Every time he posts something, it just blows me away again.
I really enjoy the different approach that we see from Dan's work, in that so many people learn to paint, and it's kind of a step-by-step process. We start talking about base coat, shade and highlight and everything like that, and Dan seems to come at it from a completely different angle. And this is a really, really good example of that because it's this piece around, actually, there's two primary colors. There's this really pale yellow for the light and this dark blue for the shadow, and they're mixed in everything. One of those two, or both of them to varying degrees, are throughout all the different colors, and it's this real play on where is the light and what is going on. It is just such a different approach, and it must be such a fun way to paint because I feel like it's not a process. It's this real back and forth.
This model really tells a story. Out of all the entries that we've seen, this really sort of speaks to me, and it gives you that sort of story.
Mm-hmm.
Something is happening. The model gives us the story. Dan didn't. So
write a story, so that's cheating. There's that piece a while ago now. I think I read a thing where it's like, those times where you want to go to sleep, you're tired, but you can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else just posted as a response to that, they went, "Oh, you can't sleep when there are enemies nearby." And that is what I get from this. It's this sense of ominous. It's like, you may not rest when there are enemies nearby. It's like, motherfucker, hit save.
Yep.
We need a quick save function for this piece.
Yes, absolutely. No, awesome work, Dan. Moving on. Next up is Ant. Sweet pickings.
Such sweetness and such classicness.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give us the rundown?
I got distracted by making the thing bigger. Give me 2 seconds.
We're talking Discord, right?
Yeah, sure. I first came across the Swooping Hawks way back in White Dwarf 127, so 1994. That was a whole issue created to re-establish the lore of the then Eldar. Before, they had been a minor faction, and with this second edition, they became a whole race with lore and depth. So the Space Marines had always been the original draw, cool, but finally there was a race I could truly adore. I devoured the art. I fell in love with the Hawks. Maybe it was the similarity of the Hawkmen of Flash Gordon, or just the grey and blue colour scheme. I was lucky enough to get a set of the original metal minis, but even with my Eldar paint set, I was never able to fully paint them. Roll forward nearly 30 years, and they finally have a plastic release. when I saw these models, I was instantly returned to those first glimpses of the Elder all those years ago. The whole range is just a tweak on those original ideas, the drawings and sculpts, and shows just how amazing those first models were. So here is my little homage to my earlier self and a tribute to the models that have hardly changed in 30 years.
I remember back, I think I'm a couple of years even before, and buying one or two of the metal swooping hawks because they're just iconic. They are such a well-known image and such a well-known. I don't know if they're any good in the game or not, but
I don't think that's important.
No, I don't think so either, because they just have this look. I mean, all of the sort of Elder aspects have their own unique look, but the swooping hawks were the one. You know, they've got the wings. This one's jumping off a bit of, token.
The old tactical rock.
Tactical.
It's a bit of scenery, yeah.
Yep. And he's done it in classic colours too. So he's got the blue. The armour is the blue colour that you know. You expect that on swooping hawks. And he's got the yellow in the wings and on the armbands and little bits of yellow scattered throughout.
It is such a take on the classic schemes. Like, it was that kind of blue, white, and yellow and then you had kind of the bone and green and red that were the banshees, and then the green armor for the striking scorpions. So it was a real riot of color as an army. But just by himself, like, it screams, and I feel like his paint job has done the same thing that the models have done over the last 30 years, in that they haven't drastically changed, but they kind of matured the sculpts a little bit. They've kept all the same flavor, they've kept all the same concepts, and they've just kind of gone, no, we can just bring this a little bit out of 30 years ago, so it mixes in with the stuff that they're producing today, which is a lot of pretty amazing stuff. And then Ant's done the same thing. Like, it isn't stupidly bright, like over the top blue. It's a light blue, but there's enough kind of shading and highlight and variation on it that it's not just, I remember reading the White Dwarfs back then, and everything was just flat color. Like, it was just, all the Tyranid warriors were red, and there was one red, and they were that red. This has got some more subtlety and some more nuance and some more cleverness in it. The white in the helmet, again, people painting white. What is with this?
But it's not white.
It's not, but it reads, and it's the same with the wings. Like, it matches so well.
But it's white with like grey shading sort of thing. And that gives a look of sort of, I don't know whether it's a light source at the front or just more weathered at the back. It just looks incredible. It looks so much more striking than, pun intended, than a flat white wood for the helmet.
Yeah, it's just such an nice approach, because it gives you a sense of depth, it gives you a sense of shadow, it gives you a sense of, the guy's getting hit from light from pretty much dead on his face. So there's bits that aren't going to be as bright, and it's hard to do that with white. In the opposite way, it's hard to do it with black, right? It's hard to shade black. It's hard to highlight white, because how do you go up from there? So again, he's found a really nice way of going, all right, not quite white, and then we'll go up to white as our final highlight.
Yep.
And precision decal use here. There is a big old black elder rune decal on the front of this guy's head, and I guarantee you I would do that slightly off center.
I'd be sitting there for 20 minutes trying to push this thing back into where I thought the middle was, and never get it right.
Then it'd wrinkle in the middle, and you'd be sweaty. Yeah, I'd be so angry at that.
And he's got a picture of the old paint set in there as well.
There's there is a world of nostalgia in this whole post, right? Because I think he posted the paint set and then later on he posted oh no, I actually meant this one. Because there it is.
Yeah.
The Orc and Elder paint set that he posted. I'm seeing if it has a date on it because that'd be the best.
Bad Moon Yellow, Go Faster Red, Orc Flesh, Snakebite Leather, Fire Dragon Crimson, Striking Scorpion Green, Hawk Turquoise, Bleached Bone, Tin Bits. A lot of those still have the same names.
They do. What they don't have is the round pots with the tall round pots with the little flip top lids. They went to it was a few years after that, but then that's when they went to the hexagonal pots. So you know this has got some date on it. If it's predating the hex pots, it is.
I had one of those paint sets, and I mean, I was lucky enough to get my hands on one. I was a young teenager painting my first models. The one I got was the Monster paint set.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great to have that paint set, but my God, the colours in the one that I got were horrible. So it's like bronze and pink and decayed flesh. So everything I painted had decayed flesh as the flesh color, and but I loved those so much.
I also really just as an aside appreciate the descriptions of the so Bad Moon Yellow, bright yellow, ideal for the most extravagant of orcs. Go Faster Red, added speed for everything from battle wagons to boars. And then we scroll down and we get Hawk Turquoise, a strong blue-green for the airborne sweeping hawks. This is the colour you paint these. Regards.
Yep. Step by step. Paint by numbers, GW style. That
homage, though, and that nostalgia, I just get all of that from this model.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of feel that childish joy out of it, which I really love.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, moving on. Horse paints.
Horse does.
He does paint.
Finally.
Beneath the corrupted manufactorum, enslaved Eldar workers endure agony as their souls are drained into a warp-forged cauldron, fueling a desperate ritual. It's very grimdark, isn't it?
Mm.
The surroundings, faded Imperial Aquilas and patchy regulation grey paint, reflect the stark glory of human efficiency. Above, Lord Invocatus charges across a crumbling walkway atop his battle-scarred juggernaut. The beast, streaked with uneven highlights, resembling rushed servitor handiwork, pounds molten hooves against twisted metal, leaving trails of scorching debris. Wonderful, it muses grimly. I look like an orc attacked me with a sponge dipped in Nuln oil. Opposing him stands Farseer Eladrin, luminous and resolute, her psychic blade gleaming. Her pastel blue robes shimmer unevenly in the chaos. Their haphazard highlights a peculiar touch. At least the robes are functional, she remarks dryly. With a sweep of her hand, Eladrin shatters the platform, twisting plasteel girders into ruin. Invocatus's juggernaut leaps through the chaos, landing amidst rubble and warped light. The Lord General seizes it in the moment and swings his axe, cleaving into the Farseer with brutal precision. Her psychic energy retaliates, overwhelming his defenses in a devastating surge. In their final moments, both combatants stare at one another amid mutual destruction, the axe felling Eladrin and her unleashed power consuming Invocatus. As their lifeless forms crumble, irony lingers. They were painted just in time for their demise. I love this story.
There is just so much, there's no fourth wall here. There is so much self-awareness, and I really enjoy that level of just, it gives me, I was giggling the whole way through it.
Oh, yes. It's the Deadpool of paint events.
And also, we've all finally painted a thing and gone, this is amazing, and put it on the tabletop for their first ever game. And I guarantee you the first thing to die in any single time that happens. So that whole concept of they're painted just in time for their demise really is just a swan song for literally everything painted for the first time ever.
Yep. So the model or models. This is a diorama as well.
This is, yes.
This is everything that the story makes it out to be. You got the huge guy on a juggernaut charging down the farseer, who is just sort of hand out, ready to unleash. They're standing on a crumbling platform. There's bits falling off the platform. And, I mean, the base itself, there's all sorts of stuff going on this base.
Mm-hmm.
We got muddy water, we've got rocks, we've got leaves, we've got industrial pieces. First of all, like the whole thing, ignoring the paint, looks incredible. It's a scene, it's a story, it's something in action.
It is all of that. And it's really, it catches that moment of the right before they zap each other into oblivion. It's just this real kind of snapshot that I love. It's kind of, in the movie scene, it would be the bit that they'd pause and pan the camera before it continued. Such a level of cinema about it. I really dig.
And it's got, again, these people with their OSL. There's a lot of blue.
Yes.
And there's a lot of blue on the juggernaut, which is not something you usually see.
No.
Sure, he's got his red and his bronzy look at the back. But all this blue energy coming from the farseer sort of obliterates that in the front of the model.
And it's fun because he's given us a lot of different views too. So you can kind of see the way that it is, A, coming from the farseer, and B, hitting the front of the juggernaut. And it gets more and more sort of worn out as it goes. I think it's fun that you can see a little bit of the residual bluey glowiness on things like the platform that's breaking away and falling apart, where he's clearly, that was attempt number 1, and then the bastard jumped. So you had to go attempt number 2 and try and dismantle him. And
it even goes as far back as the oil drum falling off the back. But it's a much, at the face of this juggernaut, it is pretty much all bluey and green sort of tones, whereas there's this just hint of blue on the back of not the back of the model, the oil drum. I love this.
It's very pretty. I also, I'm pretty sure this is about the first thing that Horses painted to completion in about 15 years.
It's so to completion. This is above and beyond. I'm loving this Eldar farseer with the his purple cloak, but there's so much of the blue energy shining off her.
And it is this real piece of, and again, that piece of kind of the brave choice where it's like, you've painted the thing. It's like, all right, now I'm going to add blue, and a lot of blue, and I'm going to hope it reads like I imagine it will read. There is a little bit of a colon clenching moment before you start that, and then as you start.
This is why I've never really tried it, because I'm scared. And people in this event have just shown what they can do with it.
Yeah. And there's some really subtle, looking at the walkway, there's a little light peeking out over here, and there's some other bits falling off, and you can kind of see glow around those as well.
Yep.
And it's, again, it's not the blue is kind of the hero of this, and it's this moment of real kind of, that is the big energy source thing that's going on. But there's all these little subtle nods to it as well, which I really, really dig. That, you kind of actually have to stop and stop getting distracted and look at it all defined. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and it's a story in itself. So good.
Very. As another quick side, I think there was an episode not that long ago where we talked about the fact that Yelv and I worked out that we played in the same garage in high school. Yeah, it was Horse's garage.
Gotcha. All right.
So he was actually one of the people that sort of got me into the hobby way back when, and it feels nice, I will say, having nudged him maybe just a little bit, to see him pick up a brush and some hobby and start doing stuff again. I feel like, we're even Stevens now.
Yeah. So you're taking credit for this?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Just so we're aware.
Yeah, no.
All right. Moving on. Shall we talk about Dill?
I mean, is there an episode we don't?
Probably not.
So,
Dill.
Rather than lashing out on shiny new kill team terrain that I knew I'd barely use, I decided to try making as close to the right dimensions as possible for as free as I possibly could. It's still a work in progress, partly because the dog smashed one of the buildings up, but it does the trick. Cardboard, TP, PVA, cost so far about $10. And we have a table of, fairly work in progress, but stuff that would be quite functional kill team terrain.
Absolutely. Harkens back to the old days where we used to play on tissue boxes and stuff like that. Where money was tight as a kid, and you were like, "No, I'm not buying scenery. I want to buy this fancy new, swooping hawk." Yeah.
But exactly that, and the resourcefulness, the creativity, the fact that actually I could go and buy this, but I've got stuff here. I could just make this. And again, I think it's this real, it's the part of the hobby that is often forgotten and lost and done, particularly when you get to play with adult money. See a TCG short from a while ago. I love the concept. I also am fairly sure that since then, Dylan has started redoing some of this out of wood that he bought with tools that he bought, and now he may have spent more than just buying the kill team terrain.
Yep. I heard the same story.
We will look, that's basically an investment, and I'm not going to say that. But also, there's a bit of a story, but there is definitely not a finished thing, so you're out.
Moving on. Well done, Del, though. Yeah, looking good. I want to see what he comes up with as a finished product. Last entry is Moose. The only tavern in a small trading town by the docks of a seaport could hardly be described as a dry place. When the rain started, no one much cared. When the rain didn't stop, it seemed sensible to seek advice from a frog. Sure. Dumpy had been in deep contemplation. Obviously not bothered by the rain, she was, however, not at all fond of public speaking, and a tad annoyed by the unexpected attention of the boisterous tavern patrons. She reluctantly clambered atop a crate she was using as a table. The rain got louder. The patrons quieted. Dumpy, the nature mage, consulted the spirit of the lotus flower. The tavern folk held their brews in anticipation, listening hard for the frog's words of wisdom over the monotonous thrumming of incessant rain. She cleared her throat and opened her mouth to speak. At that exact moment, the sea decided it was thirsty, and the best place for a drink was the tavern. It was only a small tavern, and had seen crowds much larger than the current tally, but when the sea joined in, there was very suddenly not quite enough room. The soggy chaos that followed saw barrels, tables, chairs, bumping, falling, tipping, splashing all over. The tavern had never been this wet, if the tavern patrons were not sloshed already. Dumpy floated away on her crate, relieved to have dodged addressing the crowd. she was amused that it was likely the most thorough bath many of the patrons had ever known.
There is a Douglas Adams moment in this.
Yes.
I love, and it's that at that exact moment, the sea decided it was thirsty, and the best place for a drink was the tavern. Like, there's
Yes.
that little paragraph there is literally everything I needed in this story, and it was the best. As a Hitchhiker's Guide lover, that is the right kind of story.
Yes. Agreed. So we've got this little frog mage all done up in yellow. Again, more yellow.
All right, brave. With your little lotus flower.
Yep, lotus flower and a staff, standing atop a crate, or a bit of a crate that's above water. And we got lots of barrels around her as well, and a hat.
And I swear he's actually printed off a photo of like water to take the photo on.
Moose, we love you. This is so cute. Trust Moose to do a frog thing too.
I know, right? I have a suspicion that this was part of a larger plan that he kind of got distracted and he's gone, actually, but it's this moment of going, no, I have limited time. I had this idea, and turning it to gold, literally, because the frog is kind of golden colored, but also in creativity wise. I love the fact that we've got these barrels and stuff, and then just a hat, a hat floating, like.
What I'm curious about is whether that hat has just, been washed away from a patron of the tavern.
With someone under it.
Or if somebody's still wearing it, and that's the level of the water.
I did hear a story, actually, again, tangentially, of a video game where they wanted to move a bus in the video game and they didn't have the mechanics to do it, but they did have the mechanics to move a guy wearing a hat and the ability to make a hat a bus. So actually the bus was just the hat of a guy that was under the ground moving. Anyway, which is exactly what that reminded me of. Because under there is just a guy and there's bubbles coming out. It's just so...
I mean, my reasoning behind this is that, the frog and the barrels have bases. The hat does not. So
the base must be
still underwater.
And the fact he's done little floating bases for all of this is glorious as well. Like, I want to know what scenario in what game can I play where we have to leapfrog the barrels?
Yes. Is this like a D&D version of Frogger?
Oh, that's the best.
I love how it's very sort of simple colouring on the robes and the frog. It all works well together. Like, you can see the sides of the robe are a bit darker than, say, the middle. It's really pretty.
It's super fun, and it's this
flower.
I really dig the fact that he has gone like, all right, nature mage of some description, so we're going to stick with real earthy tones. So there's some there's a little bit of green in there, but it's not. It's like this kind of mossy green as a shade color. The yellow is kind of his primary color, and then these kind of the browns, but different ones for the wood, and then the little crate thing he's standing on. The lotus flower is this fun little just pink pop out there. The middle of it is glorious, and I think it matches the little vials he's got on her back. It almost looks like, out of all of this talk about raining and advice from a frog, it almost looks like she's wearing one of those yellow, like, traditional raincoats.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I've seen that, I love it even more.
It's beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Moose. Thank you, everyone who entered. Like, we could sit here and gush for another couple of hours about all of these.
I'd need to rehydrate, but yeah.
Yeah. It's lovely to see so many people jumping on board a painting event and really producing some solid gold work. We were sitting around before we started recording trying to work out who we'd give prizes to, because Jace quite rightly said we could literally give it to anyone.
There's been anyone that finished, Clinton.
Yes.
But
I still love Clint.
I was almost tempted to, just for the sheer ballsiness and fun. But yeah, no, there was so many pieces here where like any one of these could plausibly walk away with something, just because they've all had stuff either in the story, the painting, the hobby that they've done, and that piece where I think people have really taken the opportunity to push themselves and do something that they wouldn't have normally done, or something that have been going, oh, I want to, but I'm not sure. And it's just the willingness to try and put it out there and give it a red hot crack, and I loved it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So,
also, 2 whole episodes of content that we didn't technically have to generate, so
that's very true, very true. Maybe we should put another one on shortly. So we need a winner.
We do. Ooh, there's a lot.
Yep. Realistically, it could go to anyone. It's,
so even more realistically, it could only go to one.
Yes. We could have given the winner, award to everybody, but that makes it a participation prize, and that's not on.
No, you've already got that from participating.
Yes. And from listening to this fine podcast.
Are we calling that an award? Hang on.
No. Booby prize. All right. Without further ado, we have decided, and we are going to give the award, or the prize, or the kudos, and the internet applause to horse paints.
Do I have an applause one? I don't know if I have an applause one.
Hot dog, we have a wiener.
Does that work?
That's the best. Oh, that was amazing. I loved it.
I don't know if, I wasn't sure if it would come through, but I
enough.
worked out how I can make my own sound effects.
Oh, it's a competition.
Be prepared. There will not be much talking next episode. It'll just be us swapping sound bites back and forth. See if we can get a whole Simpsons episode out of alternating comments. Anyway, horse, amazing job. Just the effort and if you're saying this is the first thing he's finished painting in 15 years, and it does not show.
Smart ass.
Yeah.
It was a hobby fiend back in the day. Clearly the muscle memory is coming back, and I just love the fact that something like this has encouraged you to pick up a brush and do something. And again, true to form, not just go, oh, I'll just paint one little dude. I'll just way to just turn it up to 11.
Yep, totally agree. Totally justified in winning. I think everybody will agree. I'm just quickly scrolling back. Oh, not quite had the most reactions to his post, but it was
Very late.
Yeah. That being said, we are going to give some runner-up prizes. Consolidation prizes.
Consolation?
That one too. Consecration. Circumcision awards.
Yes, those ones.
All right, cool.
Who are we giving the snip to?
That's your call. Who's first on the table?
There was a few, but a couple I really enjoyed. I do have to say, speaking of effort and sheer just diving in head first, Yalv with the Space Marine Tyranid diorama scene as well.
Yes.
The level of, as I said, the cinematic, that moment in time capture piece I loved, and just go hard on the again, it's not painting a dude. You've gone real hard on the whole piece. There's a lot of stuff in there that we talked about. I'm not going to do it again. It was very good.
Yeah. Just incredible. And yeah, very, very close call at the end between Yolv and Horse. Secondly, I'll give another runner-up prize. And this one was for my favorite story. I don't know what it just clicked. The story I loved. There were so many good stories, but this one was simple and yet had so much emotion in it. And it's got to go to Josh because he marches on, except for the part that does.
And that's, like, I hadn't thought about that until like literally just now, and it's stuck. It's really sticky, and I really dig it. It was such a clever little play. I will say on that, hey, well done, Josh. Like, take nothing away, and the painting too. Like,
yes.
And glorious. The stories that we got out of these, of both just the creative writing pieces and the little poems and limericks, but the moments of reflection as well, and those kind of nostalgia pieces. It was really fun reading through all of those as well. So I really appreciate the effort that people went into, not just to paint something and take some photos, but to actually put some thought into the words that went around it as well.
Yep.
And with that, I reckon we throw out one more.
Who's lucky last?
Well, last. Let's not say last.
No. Lucky last award that we're giving.
I think in theme with some of the stuff that we've talked about that we stand really strongly for, both amazing hobby, but a really personal and considerate story there was Lewis with Wemple, and just again reflecting on the impact of the hobbies, the communities that we've all got, and the positive impact it can have on people. So for both of those, the silly good painting and the stupid sucking up, making us feel things. We don't feel things. What is this? No, it was good.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It's something we have talked about in the past, and we feel very strongly about. And hobby and hobby communities are such a great benefit to mental health. Whether it's just having a bit of time to yourself and sticking some paint on something, and whether you care or not how it ends up, just having that moment for yourself, but also having this sort of community where people can bounce off each other, and if they need, I hope that absolutely no one in the Discord would hesitate in putting their hand up and saying, guys, I need a bit of help, because if anyone was to do that, the whole Discord would jump on, and that's what I love.
Decent humans around. It's nice. Yeah. It's nice to find some.
Agreed. All right. That's another paint event in the bag. Prize winners, message me when you've listened to this so that I know that you are expecting something. And till then, I'll earn the interest on the money.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. That high interest account is still paying dividends.
Yep, 2 cents every year. All right, is it time?
It's absolutely time, because what I'm wondering is if it's.
We didn't prep this one.
We didn't.
No. Do you have one?
Unprepped. But I do have a question.
All right.
And I think it's lovely coming off the back of where we've seen so many different things from so many different places and scenes and things like that. If given the choice, would you choose fantasy or science fiction?
Is there a...
I haven't thought this through, so please don't give me too much.
For personal love,
I wrote 2.5 words down.
Yeah, that's fair. I think just for my intake and what I tend to gravitate to more, I think, oh, this is tough.
Mm.
I think sci-fi just pips it, but like, fantasy was the way I got into this hobby. Dungeons and Dragons way back when, and reading Dragonlance and Magician and stuff like that. Multimedia, Star Wars is where it's at. I don't know. That's tough for me. Do you have an answer?
I mean, I do, and it is fantasy.
I expected that from you.
Yeah, all of those things, right? It is the gateway into the hobby for me. I was always a Warhammer Fantasy over a Warhammer 40k type of guy. I will absolutely acknowledge the depth of lore, particularly around the Horus Heresy, and like some of the writing has been amazing. But just straight up environment immersion piece, again, the Dungeons and Dragons piece for me, all of that stuff, I just find it a little bit easier to, I don't know whether it's an imagination thing, and it's actually easier to imagine stuff because we're taking away technology.
Yes.
It's kind of a reductive piece rather than I need to imagine things that haven't been invented yet, which is...
Yes. You need to step back and go, okay, well, it's easier to find flaws, I think, in sci-fi than it is in fantasy.
And fortunately, technically with both, but fantasy, it's very easy to go, oh, but magic.
Yes.
But I kind of like that. As I said, I think it's the aesthetic that I like. It is, there's so many novels I grew up, and most of them were fantasy novels. When I think about the authors I was reading, really getting into the hobby and the kind of thing were all that kind of genre as well. I appreciate some sci-fi. I love me some sci-fi. Like, there's so many good bits, but if I had to pick...
I don't know. I'm going to need time. At the moment, I'm just going to sit here on my fence. And at some point, I will fall over one side or the other. Hopefully by the time the poll finishes in Discord. All right. That's pretty much it, apart from Thoughtless Bowl 6 is coming.
So fast.
Make sure you get your ticket in time. It's shaping up to be an awesome day.
It's gonna be fun. We're gonna do silly things, and it's gonna be Blood Bowl 7s. And you know what? It's just one of those days that is going to be just a fun day of playing Blood Bowl. Like, no stupid, no egos, no anything. Just a bunch of really awesome people playing a really awesome game.
Yep. And we've been talking tonight about loot and swag and stuff like that, and I'm excited. Got some good stuff to give away. Speaking of giving away, that is very much thank you to our Patreons. Thank you, all of you guys. You guys help us put these events on and help us to drive this community and into something that's taken over and is far surpasses anything that Jace or I could do. So
that's a low bar.
I know, but thank you very much, and thank you as always to our Thoughtless Patreons, Alice, Archie, Clinton, Craig, Gertzy, Jared, and Kingsley. Thank you very much, guys. And I think that'll do us.
That's enough.
Laters.
Catch ya.